Bro, that
Yes,
song's such a
sir.
fucking vibe.
It's very chill. I don't know where you're finding these songs from, but I do enjoy them for our openings.
I make them myself.
You know, I believe that. Like if you said that, I believe that.
So
Man
what's
of
up,
many
buddy?
talents over here.
Hey, so this NCAA was extremely wild. We had some games freaking go down to the wire. We had some miracle jump passes, fake passes, the nightcap, bro, that Monday night game. It was kind of weird, seeing Sunday. The what was it? The LSU game and FSU game? That
Yes, that
shit
was
was,
Sunday night. That was a trip if you were watching that one.
dude, that was nuts, bro. Especially for guys who had the spread or the overs. That game was insane. I mean, you have the fumble at the 1, then you have LSU marching it down the field, and then they make the touchdown. And guess what? Massive blocking of the extra point to take it to overtime. I mean, I'll admit I had the overs in that game. So OT would have
Ooh, you were so
pretty much
close.
sealed it for me, man.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I had FSU parlayed with the overs, and of course, FSU covers the spread, but blocked extra point screws up my overs. But hey, it's all good. I am just here because let's get down to it. You are the man of the hour, the man of the NCAA. We're going to get into it later, but you absolutely destroyed a prediction that I'm sure you're going to talk about. And I'm going to let you talk about it because you're like the Stanford Steve here. You're the man, bro.
Yeah, Jerry, that was a crazy play. I actually know exactly the one you're talking about. You're talking about where he's about to get sacked. He does like a spin move and he just kind of throws it like underhand toss to the running back who extends for the first down.
On a 3rd
Definitely,
and 4.
yeah, definitely crazy play. And we'll talk about Clemson a little bit here too, Ron, but let's get into it. I want to talk about last week's top 10 to start with. This is my personal top 10 for last week. Now, what I did say was I was going to be different than what you see on ESPN, what you see on the AP poll. I didn't want to be exactly like them. I wanted to be more fluid, with the rankings. So if I see a team that had a big game from week to week, maybe you won't see them in the AP top 10, but you're going to see them in the WTBS top 10. Now, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because 5 through 1 is what we're really focusing on. 5 through 1 is where you have a chance to play for the dance, if you know what I'm talking about, that championship trophy. So we're going to focus 5 through 1, but let's get into it. Ron, last week you did mention I did have a pretty good call on one of the plays. That was the Utah game. I had him here sitting at 6, Ron. Well, what did I say? They had to go where?
They had to go to Florida, a.k.a. the swamp. That dirty swamp with that dirty water and them dirty Gators. And that quarterback who just played dirty, bro. I mean, crazy.
He was filthy, man.
Heisman long shot, but I haven't looked, but I'm sure those odds are way lower now. He was plus 4,000, was Richardson, the quarterback from Florida. I'm sure those odds have changed.
I think you said 6,000 plus 6,000 last week.
Did I say 6? Man,
yeah, so if he's at 4,000 now, odds are coming up on him fast.
I don't know.
I do have a clip I want to show you from last week, Ron. You want to see it? Let's run it. Utah and Florida. That's a big matchup because Florida fans are expecting Anthony Richardson at quarterback to take the next step and to be in that top 10 for Florida. They expect to be contenders. Florida is somewhat of a dark horse for me this year. They're not in the top 10. They're not in the top 15 as it stands. But if they continue to make that progress, we could possibly see them in the top 10. Utah has them week 1 at Gainesville, at the Swamp. Ooh. Tell me when you've seen a Utah team play well at an SEC stadium where it's humid, where there's factors at play that you don't see in Utah. Now, we saw Utah's offense make a big step last year in that Rose Bowl with Cam Rising and those boys. It's going to be the overs in that game. It's going to be a shootout. Anthony Richardson needs to go off at quarterback. He's going to have himself like 100 yards rushing himself at quarterback with 200-300 yards passing. He's the offense for Florida. Watch out for Florida, though. Utah is my asterisk on this top 10 where I could see them falling off this top 10 list. There we are.
I mean, just like we say it over here, dicho y hecho. You called it, bro. You called it. Here, let me get the stats for Richardson. So rushing, 11 carries for 106 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the longest was 45 yards. He also threw 168 yards, 17 of 24. No passing touchdowns, but hey, if you're a dual threat quarterback, you're going to put up these kind of numbers. And you said that he had to do it, put the team on his back. That's what he did. That's what you called it, bro. Go buy some lotto tickets. All right. Because I mean, you're calling everything here. You're like Babe Ruth. You're calling a shot. Caramba.
Yeah. If you're watching the Sunday morning highlights from Saturday night, the play you see right away on SportsCenter is that pump fake pass to the receiver that he pulled off. This kid is a highlight reel, man. And we saw, unfortunately, like I said, going into that humidity, the Utah players, they're not used to that over there. Mm-mm. They were throwing up. They were having a tough time. And that was, I think, the difference maker is when you go play in the SEC, you play in the SEC crowd. That's different than the Pac-12 crowds that you're used to seeing over there in Utah. And I think those were the factors that helped take Florida over, along with Anthony Richardson putting it all on his back, by the way.
So all that, man, I mean, we're putting high flowers on this kid, which he definitely deserves. But how does that affect your top 10 here? Because this 1 through 10, you don't even have them on here. And you said if they do it, then maybe they can get on there. So did they get on for your?
Well, let's get into it, because I did say asterisk on Utah. Yes, I think that I was going to have them possibly out, and I said I wanted a different list. Now they did make the AP top 25. They were sitting at 12. But they make the WTBS top 10, baby. And Florida's not my team by any means. I just like that I saw the come up for them, and I knew that they had the chance week 1 against Utah to upset. So just going over 10 through 5 or 10 through 6 here, Florida at 10, 9 USC, 8 Baylor, 7 Texas A&M, a little bit of a drop off, 6 Oklahoma. Okay, reason why I have a little drop off for Texas A&M from last week to this week is you were playing Sam Houston. That school is a small Texas school. Ooh. You know, your little brother, you know, Ooh. For all intents and purposes. And the way they performed in the first half, they went up 17-0 in the first half. They had a big rain delay that's kind of maybe stopped momentum, stopped progression. But they ended up finishing the game, I think, like 31-0 or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. Just not too impressive. They have that quarterback that came in, Haynes King. Calzada went off to Auburn. Haynes King doesn't look like he's that guy that's going to win you a national title this year, at least.
He had 364 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, but then again, it's Sam Houston, and from that first half, it wasn't looking too strong. I just don't see him enough to keep him at 5, to keep Texas A&M at 5. So that's why I had to move down a little bit.
They did play at Kyle Field, like you said. So
yeah, you're playing little brother at your own house.
You should have put up at least a 50 piece.
Yeah,
at least you're saying.
For USC, why I introduced them into the top 10 for us this week, we saw something that surprised us. We knew with the head coach from Oklahoma going to USC, taking their quarterback over there, taking some wide receiver recruits, we knew USC's offense was going to be a lot better. But what we didn't expect was that defense to be that good. And we saw them have, I think, 2 pick sixes that game. So I have to introduce USC on that premise alone into the top 10 for this week.
They did hold Rice scoreless the entire second half. Those 14 points that Rice put up against USC did come in the first half alone. They had a touchdown in the first quarter, a touchdown in the second quarter, and after that, that's it. It was a second half shutout by the USC Trojans.
All right, yeah. So that's why I have them there. But let's get into number 5, Michigan. They're replacing Texas A&M. I have them at number 5. I think they did a good job against Colorado State. Mm-hmm. This week,
they did a hell of a job.
I have some, I would say the word trepidation on them for the forthcoming, because we've seen what Michigan's plan is at quarterback. If you've been keeping up with Harbaugh, he has 2 guys he thinks that can play quarterback, Cade McNamara and McCarthy. He said that this is a biblical thing. He's going to play one quarterback that first game, right? And then the second game, another quarterback will be starting. And then by the third game, he's going to have his starter.
Wow.
I don't know why you do that. Why can't you decide by, in the offseason who your starting quarterback is going into the season?
I mean,
sometimes having 2 quarterbacks means you have no quarterbacks, Ron.
Don't coaches get paid the amount of money that they do, especially a guy like Harbaugh who's been in the NFL, to make those kind of calls. I mean, you're in the hot seat. They call it the hot seat for a reason. We've seen it on Hard Knocks when they're cutting down the roster. Hey, the head coach is the last guy and says, I'm making a decision. I know it's hard. It's going to affect me. It's going to affect the team. It's going to affect the players, but I have to make this decision. So it's a little bit of a cop-out. Going back to defenses, though, Michigan was pitching a shutout until the fourth quarter.
Yes.
The Colorado State only scored the touchdown. It came in the fourth quarter. Talking about defense as well, they've always been, a solid team. Down there in Michigan, they had a 45-yard scoop and score TD as well to add to the 51 points that they put up at home against Colorado State.
Yeah,
final score was 51-7.
Mentioning the money, having the money to make these kind of decisions. After he beat Ohio State last season, you thought,
Sorry,
you thought it would be.
But even Jerry says here, quarterback should be decided by the end of the camp. I mean, easy. I mean,
easy.
Yes, we kind of did see it in Clemson where you do have that 1-2 guys. The rookie redshirt freshman who's coming out, who against the quarterback who's already been there. In the NFL, it's a little bit easier. But regardless of it, just like Jerry and you said, you need to have your quarterback because he needs to be that leader in that locker room. You don't want to have your players saying, well, shit, I mean, who are we going to follow?
Yeah. So we saw Michigan last season beat Ohio State. They go into the playoffs, they get beat, but they don't look like they had that much of a drop-off week one from last year to this year. So I had to move them up into 5. Last week I had them at 7. This week I'll have them at 5. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I was flirting with the idea of putting them at 4. And just to get into Clemson now, I have Clemson at 4. They did play Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. They looked decent in that second half against Georgia Tech. But let's remember, guys, this is a Georgia Tech team that was predicted to have 3 wins on the season, and they didn't look that great that first half. As Jerry mentioned, if it wasn't for DJ, and I'm going to butcher the last name, Ugalugale, having that swing pass play to keep them, going, man, Georgia Tech might have had the momentum swing on them. We did see Cade Klubnik come in and make it look effortless in that fourth quarter with 5 minutes left.
Dude,
I don't know if they have a quarterback battle now brewing because, I mean, you saw the if you looked at the stands, as soon as Clemson went in with Cade Klubnik,
and it was
everyone went crazy.
Quarter. It was the fourth quarter with about 4 or 5 minutes left. I think he just ran the 4-minute drill. And I even felt the commentators, they were like, and here comes the Texas quarterback, Westlake High School where Drew Brees went, and just like the commentators are like hyping him up, and the crowd is going crazy. And then he rolls out and he throws a dart to the sideline for like 25, 30 yards. Yeah. And then, I mean,
he fit it through a window too that DJ couldn't do.
They were up 33-10 or something like that, 34-10. And they were playing with tempo and the offense was moving. He made it look effortless. Now they were up. So maybe Georgia Tech wasn't playing that great of a defense. They knew that they had already lost a game, but he made it look so smooth, man. I mean, he still could have, maybe a little fumble, maybe a wrong read, but everything that he did right. There was a play where they ran an option. He faked the pitch and he, took it for the first down rush. I mean, this kid looked good. And I don't know if there'll be a competition or a change early in the season, but we've seen this happen with Clemson before. Watson came in as a young quarterback and took over. Trevor Lawrence did the same thing to, was it Bryant or was it Kelly?
They're not afraid to start young quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence took over, and the kid actually played in the national championship number 2. I forget his name; it's eluding me right now. But then he ended up transferring out because Lawrence was there.
Bryant or Kelly, something like that. But
I bet you Josh, because they were playing Alabama. If Josh is listening, he will remember the kid that they were playing against.
Oh yeah, so then you left Clemson at 4 here.
Kelly Bryant is his name. Josh just reported. I told you. My boy Josh, because he I won't say he hates Clemson, but he loves beating up on Clemson with being an Alabama fan. But the reason why I also left Clemson number 4 and I was flirting with putting them at 5 is because, like I said last week, that defense was pretty legit. They recorded 10 tackles for loss. Yes. That defensive line, in my opinion, is probably the better defensive line in the country. So I just kept them at 4 just because I edged out their defense over Michigan's. But man, Clemson, if they don't get it together offensively, they are flirting with disaster. I would like to see a little bit more rushing from Will Shipley. I don't think they used him to his full ability. That's a 5-star recruit out of high school. They only gave him the ball 10 times. He averaged 4.2 yards per carry. He had 2 touchdowns doing so. But I mean, they rushed the ball 40 times and he only had 10 of the carries. I think you got to have more for Will Shipley at that point. That's just my opinion, though.
I mean, and it's still early. A coach, you know, a veteran coach like Dabo will definitely make the right changes. And
I think
against
so.
the Georgia Tech team who stuck with him the first half, he made his adjustments in the second half. They pulled away, and little by little as the season goes on, I think Clemson does get better. They are still ranked number 4 nationally, so let's not, you know, sleep on them too much.
Yeah. Let's move on to number 3, Ron, and that is Ohio State.
Your boys, huh?
My guys at Ohio State. You know, I expected a lot from Trevion Henderson and Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Jigba went down early. They took away his helmet.
Say that 3 times fast.
Jackson Smith-Njigba. Jackson Smith-Njigba. Jackson Smith-Njigba. And Ron, you're probably familiar with that last name because his brother is a MLB prospect as well. I don't know if you've looked into that, but yeah. So, man, Njigba went down early, and you know, I had him maybe he could be a Heisman consideration. He's a Heisman hopeful. He's outside on that race. You know, he didn't do good this first game because he was out for the most of it. Egbuka stepped in his place, ended up getting 9 receptions for 90 yards and a tutty. Trevion Henderson, they did get the bulk of the carries, 15 carries for 91 yards, but it was actually Mayim Williams who took the touchdown to give them the lead for Ohio State. Now, I did drop Notre Dame outside the top 10. They did play pretty decent, but offensively, only putting up 10 points on what I don't believe Ohio State having the best defense, I had to drop them out of my personal top 10 for the week.
All the way.
I had them at 10. I had them at 10.
Oh,
and if you don't win, so that's why my list is different. Remember?
Yeah, they were ranked. They came in ranked number 5 nationally. They were up at half. They were up at half, 10-7, and then they just got blanked the second half. So, damn, man, that was a hell of a game.
It was, and it was in prime time too. So
was the final score. Ohio State beat Notre Dame 21-10.
And here's the change between 1 and 2. I go to Alabama this week.
Oh, how?
Alabama plays Utah State.
Destroy you.
Alabama plays Utah State, and they do everything they're supposed to do. Bryce Young looks pretty good. He's 18 for 28, 195 yards for 5 touchdowns. I mean, he aired the rock out just decently. But I went through strength of schedule points here. Utah State doesn't equal Oregon, you know? So I put Alabama at 2 for the week. Now, you know, depending on who Alabama plays throughout, you know, next week and future, I could have Alabama back at that 1 spot. But for the week, I'm going to put Alabama at 2. They do have Texas this week. If Alabama rocks Texas, hopefully not. I'll put Bama back at 1. But that's where I stand with Alabama at 2. Any thoughts on Alabama at 2?
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous.
It's not.
It is because it's not. I mean, they won 55-0, man. I mean, against a solid Utah State team. They're not terrible.
Nah, they're not. You can't call them solid.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they're not like Sam Houston, like who the Aggies just played. I mean, they put up 17 points the first quarter, 24 points the second quarter, another 14 in the third quarter,
and blanked it in the fourth.
They didn't even score in the fourth quarter. That's when they had all the red shirt guys in there just getting reps in. So 55-0. I mean, if you can't leave them at number 1, and I mean, let's just call it what it was. Oregon is not who we thought that they were at all. I mean, can you say
but they still play in a Power 5 conference?
Can you say, but if you're going week to week here and you're just going based off performances, I mean, yeah, Georgia put it on them, but
I'm just saying if Oregon plays Utah State, Oregon mollywops Utah State as well.
But we can see Oregon
3 touchdowns at least
easily fall out of the top 25. So you're putting a lot of flowers on an Oregon team who really didn't show out at all. So
I guess if you want to spin it that way, I guess I see what you're saying. But here's my reasoning for number 1, Georgia this week. I thought they would have had a bigger fall off based on everything that went to the pros through the draft. Stetson Bennett looked a lot better from last year to this year. You know, I called him a game manager. He didn't look like a game manager this weekend. The kid was 25 for 31. He only had 6 incompletions. He had 2 touchdowns, and he had 368 yards passing. Georgia's defense looked just as fast. They only allowed Oregon, who has pretty good offense for most of the years. They're in a Power 5 conference, like I said, in the Pac-12. They only allowed them 3 points. They looked like they didn't miss a beat at all, like Jerry says. The Georgia receivers, they just get it. They understand the importance of blocking. If you saw some of the clips they had, they were murdering the cornerbacks for extra yardage so the running backs could, bust through. It's insane to see that offense work. They get it. They're not selfish kids. Not that Alabama is, but they're buying into the program. They're buying into Kirby Smart. I got to go Georgia 1 this week based on what I saw from, almost blanking Florida, Oregon. They only gave up 3, man. I got to go that route.
My whole thing is if you have Alabama at number 1 in your week 1, I don't think that you can move them down after they beat, a Utah State team, but 55-0. They didn't really give you any reason to knock them down. It's kind of just my thing. Like, to me, it's just leave it the way it was. They
didn't give me reason to knock them down, but Georgia just gave me enough reason to bump them up. And if you want to call it, you can say 1A, 1B. It's fine. 1A, 1B. Yeah. They're going to see each other in the SEC title game. The answers will get answered then. They'll see each other possibly even again in the national championship like last year. Yeah. So the thing about it, Ron, 1 and 2, Ron, it's 1 and 2 on the list. Then there's a big drop off, and then it's 3 and everybody else. Yes. And I know Ohio State's my team, but I see the difference between 1 and 2 drop off and then 3 everybody else. That's just what it is. Yeah. So if you like Alabama at 1, go for it. I'll probably have Bama back at 1 next week when they beat my boys up. But it is what it is for the week. It's about a fluid list, week to week, changing it up. That's all it is.
What are you gonna do for
big call out from Mike? Florida is going to represent the East in the SEC. And we saw what Anthony Richardson, I won't say his nickname because I don't want to get canceled on here, but you can look up his nickname. But yeah, Anthony Richardson.
Dude, he's like a Cam 2.0, bro.
Cam 2.0.
I mean, the dude.
He can throw the rock,
stud, man. The dude is an absolute stud, and he's a monster, but man, he's a unit, like you like to say. So, Mike, definitely agree. Hot take. Heard it here first from Mike Gonzalez. Florida is gonna represent for their conference, and I like it, bro. I definitely like the play. There might even be a prediction out there or a bet on a book somewhere that says Florida to represent their division. So, jump on it now.
So Mike thinks it'll probably be Florida versus Alabama for the title game. That's what he's saying, because Florida and Georgia are on that East line for the SEC. Well, Ron, that's the top 10 for this week for me, at least.
Yeah,
I know you have some qualms about it, but next week, maybe I get it right and put Bama back in their throne.
You will. You'll come to your senses, man. But check us out on Facebook. We did do those 2 plays. We did do the overs 51, which Justin called out on that Florida game that we keep talking about. So we hit that over 51 in the Florida game. And I said Florida spread. They were plus 2.5. We hit that obviously because they won. We gave out some MMA plays, and this all fell on the Saturday, bro. Saturday was crazy for sports.
Saturday paid you 4 units if you were hearing our podcast.
Yes, because shout out to Ben and Roland, who aren't on here today, but definitely say what's up to everybody. They love all the interaction. Ben said Whitaker by decision. He won in a unanimous decision. Ben said gain by the game.
The over's on gone.
Over 2.5. Yeah, on the gone fight. He won late in the 3rd round. So that cashed also. If you go to Facebook, there's like a 50-second reel on there and it shows everything. So check us out primarily on Facebook, but we're everywhere. IG, send us in some stuff. If you want, any kind of content that you guys have, just, keep it G, keep it PG. But we appreciate everybody, man. Josh is always in here. Mike, today. So I like it, man. I dig it. We're just getting started. Justin, tell them what else we have coming up, because NFL, it opens this
All right.
week.
So as you know, NFL is returning on Thursday night with a hell of a game, Bills and Rams. If you're not watching that game, what is wrong with you this Thursday? So as the schedule goes, we would come on here every Sunday morning to do the fantasy football, to talk about the games coming up, what we're betting on.
You can clear the NCAA here.
Yeah, we're gonna continue to do that. Every Sunday morning, you'll see us about an hour and a half before game time to talk.
10 a.m. on Sundays.
Yeah,
10 a.m. on Sundays, baby.
And we're deciding on a time for the week, but it's looking like it's possibly Tuesday, where we're just going to recap last Sunday's game and just talk a little bit about what we saw. But Sunday morning is a guaranteed. We hope that we see you Sunday mornings like last season. We had a lot of fun with y'all, and we're hoping to do it again for the season.
My favorite part, real quick, was just the fantasy mailbag. We love fantasy mailbag. Roland and Ben love the fantasy mailbag. So what we do is throughout the whole week, you guys can ask us, hey, should I start this wide receiver or this flex, or, who should I sit? What defense should I stream? And, we can kind of help you out as much as we can. We're not, no ESPN gurus or anything, but, we kind of know our shit. So ask us questions. Like Sunday mornings, it goes down. Hopefully you're not too crudo like I always am. Sometimes I would miss the shows because I went a little hard on Saturday nights. But 10 a.m. on Sundays is going to be our main show. Join in, rep your team, and then we just take it right into that 12 o'clock kickoff, man. And we just do, till 3, till 7. It's, as you guys know, Sunday's football day. So join us at 10 a.m. That's our main show. It goes off. It's super fun. Definitely join in for that.
All right. Well, that's it for us tonight. I think, Ron, anything else that you want to part with before we say goodbye?
Dude, that's it. What's today? Today's Tuesday.
That Labor Day's throwing me off. It's Tuesday.
Yeah, it is.
I thought that was an extra Sunday,
What do we have? I was just an extra day to get over the cruda from Saturday is really what it was. Yeah. So today's Tuesday. When do you think we'll go live again? Just for the people who are watching or maybe who see this.
I think we'll probably, if anything, maybe an hour before Thursday night's game.
Thursday night?
We probably will see something as far as just talking about Rams and Bills. I mean, that's a hell of a game. We can't pass that opportunity up.
We have the Diaz fight this Saturday. I'm sure we're going to want to do like a MMA little mini tap hour thing.
Oh, we're going to have that for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So shoot, that's 3 shows that we have coming up. Check us out. Like us, subscribe, follow, share, all that stuff. We appreciate all the love, man. We really do.
All right. Thank you guys. Peace.
Thanks. Peace. Good night.